start official time 6:09. It's the third Tuesday business meeting, May 19th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Time I need approval of the agenda.
So moved, Chairman.
Motion, we have a second. Second. Do we have a second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you. Chairman, do the invocation tonight if y'all will. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we can't thank you enough for the many blessings. We can't thank you enough for the much needed rain we had last night and beautiful sunshine today. But dear Lord, our biggest blessing is the way you've looked over our community and our country in this time of need. Couldn't make it without you. And all the answered prayers you've answered to get us back on the right track. But dear Lord, we ask you tonight that you be with these commissioners, that we make the right decisions on behalf of the well-being of our community, that going forward, we know we've made the right decision and everybody accepts it and does the right thing, dear Lord. And we can't thank you enough for being there. But all these many blessings and praise we give you tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
We move on tonight. Consent agenda and approval for the minutes. We've got the first Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. Everybody's had an opportunity to look at the minutes, and so entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I'll take Commissioner Kitchens as a so moved and Commissioner Martin as a second. That's all right. All right. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Got two requests tonight. If we can change the number on our new business, Levita Cutchfield and Mr. Risner both asked to be put ahead of Commissioner Pitts. It was all right, Commissioner Pitts, for I think Levita's got some place she's got to be. Mr. Risner, you or Miss Levita want to lead off on number 2 on new business?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to turn my computer. Levita's in here with me.
Good afternoon. Good evening. In light of our current situation with COVID-19, the pandemic, we have a fly in our office, keeping our social distancing. We want to come to the board regarding our budget year for fiscal year 2021. It has been approaching and it is near. We need some guidance and some directions on which way the board would like to go. So we're asking the board if you would like to keep the same budget as we had for 2020 and then make some amendments further on. Once we see where COVID-19 and the pandemic is going, the board can come back and make any amendments or any adjustments. But this way we would adopt a budget for fiscal year 2021 because it's coming near and we don't have any direction. We don't know where we're going.
Any questions for Ms. Levita?
I do, Vita. Quick question, Mr. Chairman. Vita, in terms of our overall revenues, when I look at the financials, are we on pace? So do you anticipate any shortage? And if yes, a shortage, are we looking at 5, 6, or 10%?
Well, Commissioner Martin, we haven't looked at that area, but we have not been slacking in our laws nor our local option sales and use tax. So we haven't been slacking in that area. Our revenue so far has been looking really good. Now, if you want a percentage, we can come back with a percentage amount.
And no, if revenues are good, then Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt last year's budget as this year's budget.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on the floor?
I second it, Chairman, recognizing that I think May and June is going to tell us a lot about our overall revenue stream. I think we've probably seen a little bit in March, but I think May and June is going to really tell the tale. But that does give us an opportunity later on in the year to make some adjustments if we need to. So I second that motion.
I think that's great. We got a second from Commissioner Kitchens. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Crutchfield.
Thank you very much, board.
Thank you, Alveda.
Oh, thank you. All right, we can move to rescue vehicles. Commissioner Pitts, thank you for letting Ms. Levita go ahead of you.
Oh, yes, sir, Chairman. I mean, that was very important what you had to share with us this evening. And what I want to bring to the attention is the rescue vehicles. I understand they don't in the meeting tonight. We're going to talk about a vehicle replacement policy. But I wanted to make sure to bring to the board's attention that I feel like emergency vehicles are essential. And I feel like it's important that we give Don the emergency vehicles he needs, because these vehicles are going to respond in case of an emergency. And in the case of an emergency, we want to make sure that these response vehicles can respond in a timely manner, because it could literally be a life or death situation. If the vehicles can respond in a timely manner, they're there, they can help that person that's in need versus being in the shop or one having to travel a farther distance in order to get to that case. So that's what I want to bring to the board's attention and make a motion, ask the board to get input, and later on I make a motion. There's money in this year's budget to get done at least one emergency vehicle. And I've talked to him, and I've talked to one of his captains as well, that there's money that he's willing to use of his SPOS fund to get a second emergency vehicle. So I want to bring it to the board's attention that I think it's something that we need to get done, these two emergency vehicles, so that they can respond in case of an emergency in a timely manner that could end up, saving somebody's life.
Any questions for Commissioner Pitts?
No question, Chairman, or comment, though. I agree 100%, and I think we all agreed, the way I remember it is that, the first responders, emergency vehicle, sheriff, and fire and rescue were somewhat different than fleet vehicles because of the nature of the vehicle. And I thought we were just waiting to get our policy in front of us so that we had some kind of policy, and I think we're all in agreement that Don was going to use this false money for one and his budget for others. Anyway, so I'm in agreement with it, and I think we got that policy tonight. I'll probably second whatever motion Commissioner Pitts comes with.
Don, you have money in your budget for one of them?
Yes, sir, I do. I've got plenty on a line item, and I've got plenty in SPOS too. I know we were talking about it easily. What's on that item? I can just about do 2 units with just the line that's in my budget. Back at $8,000, I could get two more, which makes just 3. If I get 3, that will replace the top 3 units that we've been using most expenditures on our vehicles.
What line item is that, Don?
Is it under vehicles, Jason, or is it contingency?
It's sitting in contingency right now. It was one of the things that was on the list of items that was approved during the budget.
And how much was that? 60?
60,000. That's correct.
Okay. The truck itself is on state bid $32,690. That's out the door. And we've got 60 in there. If we could go ahead and replace the 3, which will be the one on 49, one downtown Gray, and one at River North, will be replaced.
Don, really quick, I know we had talked a bit about looking at leasing a number of vehicles. I want to say maybe 5, maybe it was a max of 750 gray fire truck when that came up. And I suggested that we look at all of the vehicles at that time that we needed, and leveraging our contingency as well as the SPOS funds as lease payments for all of the vehicles. It would be my preference to do all 5 or 6 vehicles, and if Ray still wants to participate, put them in that pool as well, and get all these vehicles done. So we can age out what we have in our vehicle pool for emergency response vehicles, and then get us on a path of planned replacement from this point forward, leveraging not only the splash dollars, but in contingency funds and our regular line item program. So is that too much to ask that we do all of it, all 5 or 6 or 7 that we talked about?
Right. What the plan is to go ahead and replace these are the units are the ones that run the most. We run just shy of 2,000 calls a year with those units. The pumper trucks that's where we were going to do the lease program with 5 for 7 years. So we're kind of veering off just a little bit, but Mr. Risner has got the lease program. I think he's been read a little bit, but yeah, 5 trucks would. Now that's nice pumpers for $244,000 a year. Now there's some stipulations, maintenance, this and that, but it lasts for 7 years. So giving you just a little bit of that program, but this wouldn't come under that kind of program because of the mileages that we put on these trucks. These are pickup trucks. We're going to try something a little bit different. That's going to be more economy wise, money wise. It's going to be a lot different getting away from that diesel. The diesel has been, I don't know if it was the wrong model or what, but we're going to go with the gas pickup trucks. And if it's 2 that we do tonight, that's 2 that I'll have ready in 15 weeks. If it's 3, I'll have 3. It's whatever we want to do, but I still part that's going to be the best thing to do with our pumpers is with the lease program, and you will always have something that's new, and you will have a backup to each one of those, which is very important. If you have breakage, one in the shop, you have extra units. But right now, I just come tonight that either 2 or 3 rescues. If it's 2, it is. If it's 3, better.
And Don, did I hear you correctly say if we approve it tonight, it's going to be 15 weeks before you
Takes
have
15
it?
weeks, right, to order them. It'll be a 2020 F-250 crew cab with a short bed, and it takes 15 weeks to build them. There's nothing special on these. It's got rubber floorboards, a sport liner, and the color will be painted. And we'll be putting a turtle shell on the back, and we'll have a slider on the inside. So when you open up the back door, you slide out, your equipment's right in front of you.
And with the old emergency vehicles, can we sell those, trade those, or can we get anything out of them?
Absolutely, yes. We can sell those. We'll have to, there's companies all over the Southeast that sells those types of vehicles. I was certainly without the maintenance on it, but it's been the diesels. That'll come out of Allen Vigil Ford out of Morrow. They were the low bids.
Any more questions?
I like to put them.
Go ahead, Commissioner Pitts, go ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we purchase 3 emergency vehicles, 1 from the budget that's already in the budget for done, and 2 from SPLOST funds. And as we get these new vehicles, we sell the old ones. I feel like it's something we need to move on because it's going to take over 3 months before we even have these vehicles in our community to respond to emergencies. Therefore, I guess time is of the essence and we move forward with these vehicles.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Fish. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Chairman, I'll second, but is that second, is that two from budget and one from cost or the other way around? None of it.
It's $60,000 on that contingency. The truck is 32,690. So I can almost get two with that if I just had a little bit more money.
Right. And I heard, Mr. Martin was talking about the lease program. You know, it doesn't really work out for, fleet vehicles like it does some of the larger trucks that last longer and cost more. Fleet vehicles with that kind of mileage, it would overrun our cost, feasibility with lease programs.
Yes, sir.
And it's not a big deal to make, the better deal either a lease or not a lease. I don't think the value of the, merchant have it in there and those ones with high mileage that you on the most time, but it's just my thoughts on it.
You're just ordering a fire right now. The city ordered theirs. Take 1 year delivery. And that's everybody across the, this is where we're going basic for the basic truck. And, we're seeing more of this, being cost.
Clarification on your second, Commissioner Kitchens. Are we getting two from the contingency and one for Splash, or how was that motion?
That's what I was clarifying, yeah.
So what I propose, Chairman, is the one came from, I guess, budget, and then the other two came from Don's SPLOST funds. I think it has close to $270,000 in SPLOST funds.
Yeah, 277.
Okay. I just thought we had enough in contingency to get the two, but yeah, SPLOST is fine.
Well, Chairman, I mean, if Commissioner Kitchens want to get two from the budget and one from SPLOST, it's whatever you guys, kind of get the best way to do it. But I just like to see us go ahead and move forward and get done. Trucks, the captains, the trucks, and so they can respond in case of emergency.
SPLOST is fine. That's what was voted on.
Okay. Okay, I'm getting bits and pieces. The book out of contention. Heard.
One from contingency.
All right. Well, we got. Is there any more?
I couldn't hear a lot of what you said, Chairman, so please forgive me.
He clarified what you said. I've got a motion to second. If there's any more, all in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Aye.
Thank you. I'll order them first thing in the morning.
All right, was that all you had tonight?
Yes, sir.
All righty.
If you would, ask everyone that's not speaking to mute their microphone. We got a lot of feedback, and I don't think anybody can hear, much less us.
Who's that? Me?
Now, anybody that's not speaking that's on the line, whether it's their phones or internet, if they'll mute their phones.
All right.
Better.
Yes. Somebody was echoing me out of my office beside Buddy running me out barking a while ago.
Right.
All right. If we move on to old business, I've got another request. Miss Ashley's got dual appointments on the internet tonight. Here to do the payroll for medical fragile 65 and over. Roy, you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Our department heads need to implement through the end of the executive order, June the 12th, the allowance of any of our employees.
Oh, we lost you, Ashley. Ashley?
They just need to allow for June 12th.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. So our department head, we need to allow anyone over the age of 65 or who is on the list of the medically fragile that I had sent out. And that list was expanded through the end of the executive order, June the 12th, to work from home if they so choose. And if they're able to work from home, they be paid like regular. If they are unable to work from home and they fall in one of those categories and they wish, they're concerned about COVID and do not wish to work through June the 12th, the expiration of the executive order, then they qualify for 2 weeks of sick time. And that's federal law that has come to pass. And after that, if I think there still would be about a week or so between that point, their 2 weeks, and the expiration of the executive order. And so at that point, if they still wish, and it's elective, it's up to them if they fall in that one of those categories to stay at home and are unable to work from home, then they would either have to draw from their own comp time, vacation time, leave time, or go that remaining period without being paid. But that's something that we need to implement immediately through the expiration of the executive order on June the 12th.
Any questions for Ms. Brody? We'll need a motion for her recommendation.
Make a motion to recommendation of the county attorney for payroll for medically fragile and 65 years and older employees.
We have a motion. We have a second. Second with Commissioner Pitts. Any more discussion? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any opposed?
And that could,
Go ahead, Ms. Brody.
Chairman, that could be implemented by the sort of memo that I know, and I know Jason is well aware of all of this as well, to give some sort of guideline as far as who would qualify and what we have to do the next couple of weeks until the expiration on June the 12th. So if the department heads or anybody has any questions for me, but Jason will probably have what they need to see who qualifies and to see who wishes to try to work from home or stay at home and have the sick time and draw on their own comp time thereafter.
Well, you get on to your dance recital now. If we need you, Jason can text you.
I'll still be listening to you, so if you need
I saw
me.
that beautiful ballerina a while ago, so I had never seen dance recital online. Go for it.
Well, a lot of 4-year-olds doing a dance recital. This should be very interesting. But if you need me, I'm listening to you.
You get with that family. That's first.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, if we go back to Mr. Goins, thank you for taking second no business tonight. If you'd like to leave some baseball that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is just a follow-up last commissioner meeting, kind of let you know where we're at right now. And we're still continuing with the same practice as we've been doing, which is our playgrounds are open, our pavilions are open, our ball fields are open, our outdoor basketball courts are open, our tennis courts are open. All these things are for family use only right now. Not team activity or structured activity is supposed to be taking place at this time. To move forward, we tabled the vote last meeting, and so we want to talk about it tonight and decide what we're going to do about rec ball. I know both Jamie and James are on this call, and they're looking forward to speaking or having questions and finding out what the decision is going to be for tonight. But I got some things I want to go over that I found throughout the last 2 weeks as far as surrounding counties. Putnam, Baldwin, Washington, Jasper, Greene, Newton, Morgan, Oconee, Warner Robins, North Macon all have canceled their rec ball season. Now, they have all canceled for different reasons. Some have canceled, such as Baldwin and Putnam, because they don't have enough timeline. They never got teams picked. They never got uniforms ordered. Other counties canceled for not having enough players to come back and play. That doesn't really, that's not where we fit in, right? We're past all that at this point. However, the third reason that has called several counties up, which might be what causes us some issues as well, is a public relations issue. And what I mean by that is, what are we going to do, or what are we willing to do to our citizens if we allow rec ball to happen and they come to the ballpark and they do not obey the mandate or the rules set forward, and we have to speak to them, have to speak against them? At what level are we required or willing to go? Or we're going to call the sheriff's office and have them removed from the ballpark. These are answers I can't answer. That's the boards would have to do that. But that's something we have to take in consideration and be prepared to do if we decide to go that level. That's the third reason. So those are the three main reasons. All those counties I named, which is about 11 of them around us, canceled is one, not enough time to get it in because they haven't ordered uniforms or picked teams, not enough players to play, or how do you handle the PR relation with the people who don't obey the rules that are set forth. With that, I do have something I want to read that I prepared for myself. It's me from a personal stance, and it's me from a professional stance. So I want to read it so I don't get messed up in my words. From a personal stance, I feel that most Jones County has moved on and begun living life towards a comfortable norm. Traveling around the county on a day-to-day basis, I see people filling up gas stations, hardware stores, and grocery stores with little fear to social distancing. Now, I'm not saying we should forget it or just give in to all the safety concerns and protocol, but I truly feel that if you have been out and about the last 3 or 4 weeks and you've been exposed at some level. I have 2 daughters that play softball, and I personally would love to see them play again, and they personally would love to play again. So I can't be a hypocrite and speak against not opening up or canceling rec ball. Now, from a professional standpoint, I see all concerns and understand the safety measures. I know what mechanisms need to be in place to allow these kids to play, but still comply with the executive order. I understand that if we allow the leagues to play, you will have 60% of the people that will do everything you ask them. But you also have 40% that's going to do whatever they want to do. That's the PR issue I was referring to. How do we handle that 40% so that they don't flip to be the 60%? However, whatever decision is made here tonight, I will stand behind the commissioners and I will support you, and I will be in support of the decision. I would like to say whatever decision is made, if it's against rec ball, then we still put it on the table for our facilities to be considered in another week or another 2 weeks to be opened up and just continue on in a meeting by meeting basis before we shut it down for the entire year. Now, as far as rec ball, you've spoken with James and Jamie. They have concerns of their own. I don't want to speak in their place, but I know one of their biggest ones is going to be timeline, and that's an important thing. So at that point, I'll digress and be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions from Mr. Goins?
I guess I would like to see you do the Parks and Rec, the association presidents have anything they want to share.
I'm sorry, what was that, Commissioner Pitts?
I know the association, the presidents, I think they're on the call or online with us this evening.
Absolutely.
And I was going to give them an opportunity to see if they had anything they wanted to share.
Sure. President, if you can get the two visitors online to address their concerns or ideas with us. Matt, I'll let you introduce who you
Jamie would JC, and then Jamie, if you want to go ahead and speak first, then we'll let James speak.
All right, sounds good. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate the chance to speak. And yes, I will say that Matt hit the nail on the head at the end. The biggest concern for us in being able to put together any sort of rec ball season for the players here in Jones County is the timeline. And it's not, I hate to come in and we get to the point where we're rushing for a decision, but we did mention, in the last meeting, if we weren't able to be playing by June 1st, it would not be worth it. We couldn't squeeze it in before the possibility of football starting and also the possibility, of school starting back and running into then those scheduling conflicts. We are at the point where we are willing to do a set of social distancing, as we talked about, along the lines of, no players in the dugout. You will sit with the parents down the line. We'll avoid the team huddles with all hands in. The high fives at the end of the game, we'll avoid those. No shared team coolers. Every child has to come in with individual cooler. And the meetings at the home plate to start the game would be with one umpire and one coach from each team, not a gathering. And we would eliminate bat boys and brothers and sisters and other things like that, even if they wear a helmet for running onto the field and helping out. So it would be the players and the coach. We've also talked about, if we were able, we could limit to one umpire, that umpire standing behind the pitcher to call balls and strikes instead of two standard umpires. We kind of hate to do that, as we had prepared this year and solved the major issue in Jones County National League from the last several years was the umpiring issues that we've had. But at this time, we also understand and willing to make some concessions there. And also I've seen other places eliminate the sunflower seeds and things the snacks that can be spit out. So we are 100% willing to comply to those things that I've mentioned to get going. But I will reiterate, we are needing to be going by June 1st to have a meaningful season. We have all but two coaches are willing to continue to coach and go as is there. And we can combine kids for the two that do have issues and make a team. We tried a parent survey and didn't get a full response, but from what I can tell, we probably have about a 30% or so amount of players that either did not respond or responded with a no, they would not play. It is spread through all the leagues, but the vast majority of the feedback we've gotten has been your Wii ball and T-ball leagues where they're a little hesitant to play. It seems the older you get, the less concerned the parents are, and it might be because it's easier to work with a 12-year-old kid about staying back and apart and not congregating in the dugout than it is a 3 or 4-year-old. So that's kind of our initial feedback. We will have to do some combining of teams, even though we've already picked teams just to make it work. But Jones County National League Board is 100% willing to work our butts off to get something going if we are allowed.
Matt, you got anybody else you'd like to invite up?
I do. Mr. James from the Highway 49 Ballpark Board at JCA Arrow. And then after he speaks, I would like to say a couple more things. So, James, if you want to come online now.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think, echoing some of what Matt said is, I have my feelings as from a personal perspective and 3 kids that play ball. And then I have my feelings as somebody who has to manage, the public relations and manage these guidelines and make sure these things are happening. And those are 2 very different point of views. But to start off, I'll say we tried to survey as many of our parents as we could, like Jamie said, to really understand kind of where we're at and do we even have the participation to make this happen. And I'd say we heard back from about 60%, but we're a little higher on the, probably 35% or so, just on my numbers and my spreadsheet here that, just want to get a refund and either due to safety concerns or just concerns of starting later in the season. To be brief, I'll say the biggest thing for me is the timeline and also the public relations piece of what happens when things aren't going the way we need them to and guidelines aren't being followed. The board is obviously ready to do what we need to do, follow whatever guidelines we need to, with whatever action necessary, be it up to the point of asking somebody to leave if we had to for the safety of the rest of the people at the park. But I can see that beginning to be a difficult situation. So I think that we can do what we need to do, but again, I think as well, if we don't start by June 1st, it's going to be very difficult to get everything. But that's really everything I've got, guys. I'm definitely open to hear thoughts. And we're going to do what we do.
Any questions at this point?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions. I guess the only comment that I have is the point that I guess bothers me the most is safety. That's something that rides heavy on my heart, the safety component. I think about what the governor's statement when it comes to youth sports is that you do not encourage or recommend holding games or tournaments, but he didn't prohibit it. He said he didn't encourage it nor recommend it. And I spoke to 3 doctors here in the Middle Georgia area, personal doctor, co-worker doctor, as well as somebody with the North Central Health District, and safety was their biggest concern too. So I want to make sure that the board takes that into consideration as we make this decision tonight. And another thing I want the president to comment on is potentially playing fall ball. There was something else that was thrown out so that the kids, they still have an opportunity to play. You have more time to see where this virus is going, because I think this past week or last week, there was a new illness that came out that kids are starting to have, from this COVID-19 pandemic that we were not aware of a month ago. So I just put it on the table to get input on fall ball and want the board to make sure they consider safety as we make our decision this evening.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add a couple of things. As far as the social distancing, according to the definition of 10 persons in a single location, we can meet that, we can follow that, because a single location is defined as a space that people can't get 6 feet apart. With ballpark can accommodate the 6 feet thing for the amount of people. I think what could be done that could really help with the enforcing side of the mechanisms and mandates that we'll set forward to make it happen is if we hire, we have police officers already in security, so we would need to probably add 2, one on the upper level, one on the lower level, and then of course you'd have one over at 49 as well. You're looking at probably around $1,000 a week in security fees. So if you ran 6 weeks, that's $6,000, 7 weeks, $7,000, and so on and so on. And we allow the uniformed police officers to be the one who are speaking to the parents directly. We could put them on golf carts and let them monitor the park and everything. That would probably definitely decrease the percentage of people who are going to test the mandates and be more apt to follow the mandates so that these kids can get on the field and play. So that would be something that I feel would really help move toward that area. So as commissioners, as you consider as y'all consider tonight, if you can consider at the same time, if we're willing to add little funds, let's just say $8,000 to cover it. If we are willing to add $8,000 to cover security costs so that these kids can get out and play, I think the police officers would definitely help with the social distancing and allow it just to take place. Thank you.
I'd like to say something strong tonight. And, you know, as I go out every day and do my jobs and whatnot, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. I go to Ace Hardware. The parking lot is full. You go in Ace Hardware, you don't see people congregate. You see them. We've learned a lot through this. People are very aware of we need to social distance. You go in Ace Hardware, everybody's social distance. You go in Lowe's and there's not a buggy to be had today. The parking lot was slam packed. Everybody was social distance. They've learned that we need to social distance. There's going to be those few bad apples that don't social distance. But at some point in our life, we've got to get back to a normal. And I'll be honest with you, I think the kids need to play ball. And I mean, somebody asked me today what the right answer was, and I asked them what the right answer was. They couldn't give it to me. They couldn't tell me if the right answer was not playing ball or the right answer was playing ball. You know, we're in uncharted territory, but at some point in our life, we need to go forward. And I think this is the time to do it. That's my opinion. Obviously, I don't have a say in this other than a vote at the end. I can't make a motion. But my feelings are is we've learned a lot. I've heard some great ideas from these young men that have volunteered their time to make this happen and are willing to sit forward the effort to make sure that they keep everything going, and I support them. Anyone else?
Chairman, I think anybody commented on fall ball.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of it. Fall ball.
I'll start, and I'll let the board members follow behind me. Commissioner Pitts and all commissioners, fall ball is something that's hard to do in Jones County. And the reason that it's hard to do in Jones County is because we have such a large football program and a large soccer program. So not to say that there's not kids that wouldn't love to play fall ball, but there's not enough kids to have a season to be able to make it sustain. A lot of the kids that play fall ball, if we do have a couple of Jones County teams, they typically go play in the Macon leagues. They've tried it several times in the past. They put their best foot forward in the past. And with our youth football or our youth soccer, it's just hard to get enough kids to make a league worthy of having. And with James or Jamie, if y'all want to feed in on this.
Yes, I would second that. When we talked about it, almost every year since I've been a part. The interest in fall ball is always very low. It doesn't mean that we will never do it. It's the lack of teams and the lack of energy to get a group of people to join into that. And really, when you look at how many people are playing soccer and football now, Matt, I completely agree with you that that's one of the bigger reasons. And when we put the survey out, we feel like we could possibly make one or two, we could probably make 2 teams in most leagues, and then some of them could get to 3, and maybe some of the younger kids would even get up to 4. But it becomes a less meaningful season as we look at it. But where we get a little more possibilities towards fall ball is when we talk about rules like just an instructional league. We might order a t-shirt for everybody. We don't even put umpires out there, just really teach the game of baseball, and maybe at the end have a mini tournament or something like that. So we have had some interest. I will say this, we cannot do a fall ball league with our current current player list. It truly would be we'd still have to end this league and then start another league in the fall for fall ball. It would be a completely separate season.
Any other questions, Commissioner Pitts? I'm sorry, I forgot all about your question not being answered.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think they answered my question. It was part of the suggestion. And like I said, I just go back to safety and new illnesses, and like I said, talking to doctors that I know, I trust. It's just safety. It's heavy in my heart. Just like I said, we learned something new last week, a new illness that we didn't know about a month ago, and who knows what we're going to find out tomorrow or next week. Like I said, it's just safety.
I understand, and I do, respect your concerns on that. Anyone else?
Chairman, I'll throw my input in there, and I'll be the first to say that I've changed my tune some. A couple of months ago when we were in a board meeting, I think I was the first one, or I thought, for my feelings, it was a comment that I wasn't willing to put anybody at risk for a ball game, not any of our kids. And that was when we were getting reports that 2 to 3 million people were going to die from it. We were going to have millions of cases, and because of my job, I watch these numbers every single day, and I mean, the facts are the facts. We are not climbing in numbers like we were expected. I'm not saying it's not as serious. I'm not saying it's not a bad deal. Yes, there's a lot of stuff we're learning that we didn't know to begin with. There's also a lot of things that we feared at the beginning that are just not coming true. So we take all that with making the best decisions with the knowledge that we have at hand. So my personal opinion is like the rest of y'all. Let me just say thank you to Matt and Jamie and James. They have went over and above their call of duty to get information and look at all points of view. And I know we've all looked at this 1,000 times in the last 2 months and trying to figure out a way to safely make it happen. I think everybody on this board is torn between what they want to see and what we actually can do. And I'm the same. Everybody that says they're hard to make a decision, welcome to our world. We signed up for it. So my personal opinion, I'm ready to get back to some type of norm. I'm ready to open it up. I'm ready to play ball. Unfortunately, until June 12th, we have a governor's executive order that says we must social distance with anybody over 10 people in a group. So that's not an option for us. If we're going to play, that's got to happen. The last thing I want to do is say, let's open it up. Then whoever, whatever the reason, it doesn't abide by the executive order and it has to be shut down 2 weeks into the season, that's worse than us not having a season to me. We've thrown everything out there, and I appreciate the boards, the league boards, and what they're doing, and Matt and what he's doing. And we keep saying we're all in the boat together. It may not look like we're in the same boat sometimes, but we're all in this boat together, and we got to work to make it happen. So, we do need that commitment from the rec leagues that they're gonna. And it's hard to say they're going to enforce something, but we've got to have that effort that everybody enforces it, whether it's our park staff or our law enforcement or our rec leagues, all the way into our board members, coaches, parents, and everybody else has to. They have to enforce this. They have to self-control it, or it's just a fact that we can't do it. And I think from a board perspective, I don't know that we can open ourselves up to a liability and ensure what the governor's order is said for us to do. Now, that being said, it expires at this point, June 20th. And I know they've said June 1st is a drop dead date, but June 12th, I mean, one option we're talking about is maybe starting June 1st, we start practicing, with different teams on the field and that way, and then go from June 13th to July 13th to July 20th, something like that, to get in 5-6 weeks of games. I don't know if that's an option. I know everybody says, well, they don't want to, and I did this for years as mentioned and all that. So I know people don't want to get after July 4th because they're all going on vacation. Well, if we're not playing ball, then we're probably not going on vacation too much. And if we're going on vacation, then why aren't we playing ball? So, I don't see everybody's going to be on vacation after July 4th and get ready back. My point is we got until we go back to school if the kids want to play ball. I hate to see a whole season lost because we'll never get back. I do understand that fall ball is probably not an option because most of the people I talk to, their kids are either playing football or soccer. I don't think we would have 50% of our players show up for a fall ball season. Yeah, that's, if we're gonna do it, I want it to be real clear that our decision would be to allow it to happen. And I think that's different from, making it happen. You know, I think that's where we're in the same boat with the leagues, because we don't operate the leagues, we don't operate the games, we don't, you know, when we say we have law enforcement, those deputies are paid for by the board, the umpires are paid for by the board. All we do is allow the park to be open. So I think that has to play into it when we start talking about liability and responsibility, because in order for us to have the liability, I feel like we're going to have to take some responsibility to enforce it. And that's where I think the rubber hits the road for us. I think we all want to get back to it. We just got to figure out how we can do it without being a legal issue for us.
Anyone else?
Chairman?
Yes.
Ooh, I was really loud. I'm not sure what the board is going to decide here, but if you all decide in some manner to resume play, I have sent Matt an email regarding a release that I would recommend the Little League boards having the parents sign.
Any questions for Mr. Brody on that?
No, sir. No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any more questions or comments tonight?
I just want to share this, Mr. Chairman. I agree with most of what you all have said, both pros and cons, and especially about our experiences at Ace Hardware, at Walmart, and everywhere else that we're out and about. As I cycle around the county, I see people at play. I've seen kids on the football field, on the baseball field, you know, doing different things. And I would presume to guess that it wasn't with all of their static family members. I just got my test results back yesterday and I was excited that everything was negative. But I think that most people don't know what they have or what they don't have. And that's the risky part. The other side of it is, I think parents are making their own choices about what they want their kids to do or don't do. And as a county, our responsibility, I think, is very simple. Yes, the public interest is the priority in terms of all the decisions that we typically make. But at the same token, people are allowed to go to a golf course. So if that's an available option, then so should the parks be available. In terms of our leagues, they're all private leagues. We don't operate any leagues. We just provide a space for anybody to go and participate. And I think that in itself indemnifies us. Now, I'm no legal expert and definitely not a legal attorney, but it's play at your own risk. When you go to an amusement park, it's play at your own risk. If we did something in the park that puts kids in jeopardy, whether it's a parking lot or it's a ditch or something we didn't take care of in the field, that's our liability. I've never been a fan of us opening too fast without people being tested, but I recognize people are going to choose to do what they want to do. And I think as a league, which is typically made up of groups of parents, that should be their prerogative. Our job is to make the parks available, no different than the library or any other space that a citizen needs. And it's their choice how they use it. And again, if the release releases us, so be it. I don't think the national parks associations are going to the type of level that we would go to, and I think we have very similar indemnification. And with that being said, you know, if we're open and the governor makes us open to take taxes and tags and golf, then it's up to the leagues to make that decision for themselves. My kids won't be there because we run track, and track is not open anywhere. But if a track meet was there, we line up with 6 feet of social distancing, and we're going to run and kick butt.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I've listened to what everyone has said, and everybody has a great point. Commissioner Pitts was talking about the governor's executive order, and and then the governor not recommending.
Hey, how are you? You start. How are you?
That we have.
You look tired. How did you?
Mark, you're fading in. Sorry about it, Commissioner Rob. I
and I believe I heard that the executive order ends June the 12th, and that the board of residents are saying that if we don't start playing by June, they won't have a season.
Happy thoughts with me.
he's muted now.
I think in the last meeting, I was in favor completely of them, of us making the facilities available, which they are available. And, but with Commissioner Pitt's point, which is a very good point about the executive order, I'm inclined to say that we have a June 12th start date, or making the facilities available June 12th, and just have a shortened season as a compromise. Well, we certainly can't do everything that everybody wants. And I think I heard that 30 to 35% do not want to participate, or either they didn't give any feedback. So I'd be in favor of a June 12th start date, provided that the numbers keep doing well and that the governor okays it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Anybody else? At June 12th and June 1st is really the point of no return, isn't it?
That might be if you have a certain number of games. I'm saying a shortened season.
Yeah, I'm just asking that. Basically,
Yeah, it's
that allows them to start practicing and get ready, right?
June 1st. The reason June 1st is kind of a line in the sand with the boards is if we go to June 12th, if y'all vote to say, okay, board, y'all can start June 12th, they're going to have to go back and cut games, as Commissioner Robinson said, shorten the amount of games they already had on a modified schedule. And that pretty much leaves zero rain outs availability, or they have to push it deeper into July, which could really hinder the amount of people that are willing to participate at that point. Again, a lot of it's an unknown. There's still some unknown factors here. And what some of those unknown factors are, if y'all vote to say June 1st, or you vote to say June 12th, and Jamie and James, they take off putting their best foot forward, they still don't know 100% who's going to show up at the door to play. And a lot of people are truly still waiting to give them answers to see what that date is. So they still have some unknown questions they can't answer themselves, that their board has amongst themselves they can't answer, because they are waiting on the Board of Commissioners to say, here's our date that will give you permission. And I understand the situation y'all are in. It's a very tough one. But the June 1st is a very deep line in the sand. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Matt made a recommendation about security and the extra cost of it. I wouldn't be in favor of the extra cost if we go that route. I think the security that is normally there may have to cover a lot more territory a lot faster, but I can't go along with the extra funds.
And if we have transportation on site, would have one deputy on each site be able to take care of it rather than splitting the two? We had a golf cart. Man,
Well, yes, sir. They'll have golf carts on site. The answer is they should be able to, but again, I don't want to say they will, but the answer is they should. It's doable. Yes, sir.
Chairman, one other thing to think about is if we decide to go with the June 1st opening, we're only talking 12 days of social distancing at that point. So I think that's when we would need the security the most, to be the first 12 days. And if it's not extended, then we're not, I mean, yes, we need to still social distance, but we're not enforcing it as much because it's not an order on our end.
right.
So instead of 4 or 6 weeks, we're talking 12 days.
We're just talking 12 days of the social distancing. And the point I was trying to make with Ace Hardware, the Lowe's, the Angles, everybody's learning self-test. I mean, you go to, I mean, it's like you see somebody that you're standing 10 foot away from each other talking. You don't have the Southern gentleman hug that, we're so accustomed to, particularly me. 12 days, I think the Little League Board has said that, they're going to do everything possible to educate folks. I think the people who's going to show up are the ones that are going, that want to play. And I truly believe that they're going to be the ones too that know that in order to play, they're going to have to comply and keep up. And after the 12th, then we still need to have a concern, but we'll be out of that governor's realm at that point. Anyone else?
And another thing, Chairman, I just want to make sure the board's aware, we're talking about kids. I know we talk about Ace and other stores, but I mean, those mostly adults, but now we're talking about kids. And like I said, it's just, the kids. We just don't know all the other side effects of this whole illness. So, like I said, safety, erring on the side of caution.
Well, I know for a fact it's not a county sponsored deal, but Houston County, a lot of their leagues are getting together as on private areas that they can play. I know for a fact a good friend of mine's grandson played. They did a great job. Her being a nurse, she said they did a great job of social distancing. The coaches were out there to let the kids play. I think they played. Somebody had a big field that they practiced in. They had play there. They had two teams together. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and she's right in the middle of the COVID. And she did say that, going there, she was apprehensive, but after she saw where the parents conducted themselves and the coaches, that they had two full teams with a lot of people there, and everybody was spread out and they had a good time, and the kids were actually able to be kids, and I know that's something they hadn't been able to do, and we do. It's important. I mean, I've got two daughters in the medical field, and they say, they're seeing the hospitals, dwindling down to nobody with the COVID, where they were piled up at one time. Now they're, just a few here and a few there. Surgeries are going back, back to normal. Like in Millersville, I think that I understand they've only got a few cases, so we are seeing a decline. Not that it can turn around and go the other direction, but I think people are educated, and I think we're going to remain educated long beyond when this is all over. You're going to see a whole different world of how people embrace folks and communicate and whatnot. It's going to hurt that Southern gentleman hug that we're noted for, but it's all good.
And the last point, another point I'd like to make, Chairman, this thing is just so unpredictable. So not too long ago, Sparta was not even considered as a hot spot. And I think within the last week, it's become a hot spot. And sure enough, they said it's in nursing homes, but it's got in the nursing home. So somebody from the outside brought it in, and now it's a hot spot, whereas a couple of weeks ago it was not. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. One minute you think everything's fine, and lo and behold, things get out of hand and get out of control, which is just so is unknown, which I hope it does not. And as I make these comments, I want to make sure that the board and everybody that's listening knows that I want the kids to play. I want them to play. I want them to have a good time. I want them to enjoy their lives. But it's just safety is my biggest concern. The counsel that I receive are people, like I said, that I know, I trust, and I just want to bring that to the attention of the board.
Chairman, I think Commissioner Pitts makes a great point there. I think all of our worst fear is something happen based on a decision we made. We don't know the future. We don't know what's going to happen. We do know that most of the kids in Jones County are from Jones County, and we hadn't had a case, we hadn't had an explosion of cases since the beginning. We've got a very low number. Thank God for that. But I think it goes back to, whether we live our life or we live in fear. And I think a lot of it is pretty much what this country was founded on, the will of the people and personal responsibilities. I know these are kids and it sounds harsh, but, parents have a choice too, whether they bring their kids there and play or not. If it's risky for them, they know we're not the end all be all decision gurus to say just because we allow something that you have to take your kids and play ball. If you're fearful of going, then don't go. And that's, I know that sounds harsh, and I got that decision to make too. I've got a granddaughter that's wanting to play and plays t-ball. So, I've got that personal, relationship there that I'm making decisions on too. Well, it's really tough, but, at some point, we got to let the will of the people and the personal responsibilities take over. And so my recommendation, and if we get to the point of it, I would make the motion that we allow them to open up under some conditions on June 1st, under the conditions that we're able to social distance between the time that they start and the time that the executive orders in place. That we have every parent for every child sign the waiver, and that we put all the protocol in place to make that happen, and provided that these leagues are able to get the numbers there that want to play and willing to play and can make it happen. I mean, we can make a decision tonight to open up tomorrow, and it may not happen. They may not have the people, may not have the coaches, just may not be able to make it happen. After they set out the rules and tell the parents and coaches, here's what we're going to have to do to play, you may get another 20-30% say, heck with that, I'm out, So, but that would be my choice, is to allow it based on the one requirement we have in the executive order, and that's social distancing.
All right, is that your motion, Commissioner Kitchen?
Yeah, the long one, but I did my motion.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Martin on the second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I can't be in favor of the extra security. I mean, on one hand, we're saying that parents are certainly capable, but on the other hand, we're saying we got to have extra security. So I think we're contradicting ourselves. I can go along with making the fields available on June 1st, the extra security.
Mine didn't include any extra security. I think for the 12 days we used the one deputy that's on site.
There's no extra security in it. All right. Any more discussion? We have a motion to second.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Martin.
Needed to ask real quickly to add an amendment to that to open Maddie Wells. I'm sorry, I didn't see Matt's comment.
Along with the rec, wouldn't that if we open the rec complex, wouldn't that be part of the?
If that's what we mean by it, then yes. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Is that my understanding? If we're opening the rec complex, we're opening 49 and 18, correct?
Right, but I meant Maddie Wells Gym. I apologize.
Well, that would
is Ashley still on the line? I thought gymnasiums and gyms and things like that were still part of the do not open. I could be wrong, but if they're able to open, then I agree. Just have to on that too.
Brody, is that?
All right. That will work as long as they're able to open. Then yeah, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Any more? All right, I bring it to a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I oppose. And
Four.
I say, Chairman, I'm just opposing on the information I got from the North Central Health District, my personal doctor, my co-worker doctor, the governor's youth sports recommendation that they do not encourage or recommend holding games or tournaments. And I'm erred on the side of caution.
I understand, and your caution's appreciated too, and understood. Thank you, Commissioner Pitts. All right, we move on. Howard Roberts Road Bridge right away, Commissioner Risner. Mr. Risner, I'm gonna make a commissioner yet. You don't want this position. We're not tonight. Where you're at.
All right, on the Howard Roberts Road Bridge, we've had several different discussions about that, and most recently, the board voted to send a letter to DOT asking them to fund the entire right-of-way acquisition. And so we sent that letter. I received a call late last week from the chief engineer in Atlanta, and she asked she said they were in receipt of the letter. She had talked with the commissioner and that they wanted to know if there was anything the county could contribute to that effort. And she said that this project's actually been programmed since sometime in the 90s. Sometime after then, the bridge was temporarily shored, and so it's something that they've had on their radar for a long time. And I think my understanding is years ago they used to ask for the local governments to fund the entire right of way, which is what they did in this situation. She said projects that are programmed today, they asked for maybe $25,000 from the local government. And so I talked through the history of this with her and let her know that the board had previously indicated they'd be willing to pay a consultant to handle this for $22,000 or $25,000. And I asked if the board was willing to put that amount in. And at this point, would that be enough to get the project going? And so she said she thought that sounded great, and so I let her know that we had a meeting tonight, and I would present this to you for consideration. At this point, I think the recommendation or question to you is are you willing to contribute $25,000 towards the acquisition of the right of way on that bridge project?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we'd be willing to contribute up to $25,000 for the right of way acquisition.
All right, we've got a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kitchens. Any more discussion?
Where is that money coming from?
I think that would come from contingency. I think it was one of the items we talked about during the budget process, but it wasn't specifically allocated. So I think you would have to use some of that contingency funds, use some of those contingency funds to do that.
Jason, isn't that the same amount that we were talking about to hire someone to do it for us? Not the astronomical fee that they were looking for.
That's right. I believe the contract with the consulting firm was it was between 20 and 25,000. I can't remember the exact amount. And the original sum that GDOT had asked for was 170,000.
I believe they would have took that 170,000 too if we'd sent it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I second that. I bet they would.
All right, but we didn't get that in the right motion, but that's all right. We've got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? None. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now that we're talking about, before we get out to our department head and all, what's the board's thoughts on going back to a normal board meeting with the social distancing? I think the city, Mr. Debbie, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Yeah, I think the city's having their meetings live now, or been having social distancing. What's the board's thoughts?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm ready to go. And stay 6 foot away from me.
Ms. Debbie, the city's having
Can we
theirs.
do that at the government center, or do we need to
Yes,
go to like the
unmute, yeah,
W. Civic Center?
Okay, you're unmuted, Ms. Debbie.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
We can hear you.
Oh, well, it says, okay. Yes, the city has actually been meeting, they had their last 2 meetings in person. But, you know, everybody stays far apart. The meeting last night, they weren't as far apart as they were the first meeting. But it's still, they still attempt to stay, you know, social distancing. But yes, the city is meeting in person.
I think we can do, what we can do, Commissioner Pitts, is look at our agenda and see if we've got something maybe that we feel like is going to attract a large crowd. I know there's several zoning items, I think, coming up that's been tabled through all this time that people are waiting on. And if we feel like that one of those zoning issues come up, we can move it to the Knox Center. If not, I mean, and I'm just going by past attendance to our meeting. I don't see why we couldn't space it out where we're at. Worst scenario, if it gets too crowded, you know, some people could be in the hallway if need be. For suggestions and thoughts, I'm just trying to, if we're ready to get back to a norm, like I said, I'll be honest with you, I am.
I am too, Chairman.
All right. Well, can I get a motion to go back to a standard in-person meeting starting on the first meeting in June, which would be, I think, the second? Is that correct?
Yeah, we make a motion to go back to in-person meetings June 2nd, adhering to the social distancing requirement of the governor's executive order.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Robinson. It's open for discussion. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just say, for all the reasons that Jonathan pointed out earlier, would be my major concern about all of us being present in a room together. If we were at the Knox Center, I think I'm more excited about that space than any other space. But until we're at least all tested, you know, I'm likely to see you guys over WebEx.
All right.
Chairman,
Yes.
can you
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am.
2 quick comments. The very first meeting, I guess I don't have a calendar. It's that June the 2nd date. It still falls within that executive order time period. So we probably should just go ahead and plan on having that at the Knox Center, just so that the commissioners themselves can social distance. I don't know of a way to do that in our normal meeting room. But we can spread out across the stage in that room,
Sure.
because we're still under those guidelines through at least June the 12th. The other thing would be, there was a comment earlier regarding the gym, the Maddie Wells gym, and I'm not sure if the government center gym was in that part or not. I was sort of just joining back in. But there are some additional requirements for sort of inside facilities than, you know, rec ball is played outside, but, you know, bowling alleys, gyms, training centers, fitness centers, things of that nature, they can open. There are just some requirements, a list of requirements that you need to follow as well. And so we just need to make sure when they open that they have that list so that they're properly following the executive order guidelines through June the 12th.
Okay. And we have no problem having it. Location's not a problem. Any more discussion? If none, we got a motion to second. We got all in favor, aye?
To go back into W. Civic Center?
Knox Center.
Okay.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Department heads. Ms. Graham, you still there?
Chairman.
Chairman, I think. Hold on. Okay. Is that Shannon? Hold on, ladies first.
You missed, old business number 4.
Excuse me. And it hit on the last page. All right. Keep me straight. Sorry about that, Don. We'll get back to you. Mr. Risner, you're up again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So, we've talked several times recently about the vehicle replacement policy. I've submitted with the packet tonight a draft of the policy. We are still working on compiling the information on our current fleet. We'll have that before you at this time, but did want to go ahead and send you the draft policy and get any sort of feedback that the board might have on that.
Somebody say something? Any questions for Mr. Risner on our vehicle replacement policy?
I think along with the policy, we're going to have to, if we're not already, we're going to have to require department heads to enforce or keep up with maintenance records, and do it in the way that Jason requires it.
Agreed.
Great.
We should make that part of the motion, whoever makes a motion.
Is there a motion on the table for Mr. Risner's vehicle replacement policy?
I'll make the motion to accept the policy, vehicle replacement policy, along with guidelines from Mr. Risner to department heads to develop and enforce maintenance records as he sees fit.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. Kitchen second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? You got Daylight muted.
Yeah, aye.
Okay, all right. We got any opposed? Ayes have it, 5 ayes. Now we can move on. Mr. Graham?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Yes, sir. I want to thank the board tonight. I appreciate that. We can move forward and also, the lease plan for the pumper trucks, I'll forward a brand new program to Mr. Risner for him to look over. I think the one that I forwarded him last year is probably 6 months old, and I think the trucks have gone up about 3 to 5%. So, but Mr. Risner, I'll forward that to you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all, board.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Mr. Matt, you still with us tonight?
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm here. Just want to thank you all tonight for your support of and I know it wasn't an easy decision to make, and the boards have a lot of work. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Again, there's still no guarantee there'll be a rec season. They got a lot of information they're going to gather over the next week. We'll be working closely together, and we'll keep you updated. We'll make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and we'll do our best, put our best foot forward for sure. So again, other than that, thank you very much, and that's it.
We thank y'all. Thank for all the volunteers that, making this happen or trying to make this happen, because I know it's a almost impossible feat, but I think they can do it. Any other department heads with us tonight? Mr. Risner, you got anything?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think Jeffrey Koke's on with us. He was asking me earlier today about the fees and cutoffs for water. We've gone through, I believe, 3 months now where we didn't have the cutoffs and the late fees. He was asking me, when we might look to reinstate those, and I let him know that I would talk with the board tonight and get your thoughts. I don't know that it's anything that requires a motion. I think back at the beginning of this, the board, said I could do that administratively, but just want to get your thoughts on that tonight, if I could.
I would think when the executive orders ended, we could start looking at getting back to a normal work schedule. I think people are finally starting to get back to work. They're starting to get their feet on the ground. People are trying to get back to a normal life. And I mean, I don't say do it just the exact day the executive order is, but my thoughts would be, and it's just me, to, possibly give them to the end of the month and just a heads up that as of this date, if it were me running at my water department, I'd see as of this date, we'll go back to our normal policy of, cutoffs on this date, late fees, whatever. And that's just me.
Chairman, I think surrounding utility companies are going back June 1st from everything that I've seen. I think Georgia Power would have added, Tri-County maybe, just going off memory, don't quote me on that, but I think most of them are going back June 1st. So I think it's generous if we do June 15th. That gives us to the end of the executive order and gives us, 15th of the month. I think that gives us a pretty good time on our water department. We start back on the new cycle sometime around the 20th, I think. So everybody, we'll have a new meter reading right after we start. So it gives them a month and a week or so of, knowing that late fee is now there. It's late.
Mr. Kitchen, do we need to do it in the form of a courtesy flyer in their bill, letting them know we'll be back to normal policy, or?
I think, I know you said Commissioner Kitchens, and that's not me, but we need to add this to the next agenda, June the 2nd. The changes would take place after that anyway. But let's have this as an actual agenda item.
Sure. I just can't talk. I know we had another meeting on the 2nd. But thank you.
I just didn't think we put it on the agenda. We may have voted on it before we did that. Council.
Ms. Shannon can put it on our next agenda. And thank you, Ms. Shannon, for keeping me straight and not letting me miss something tonight. Or was that Ms. Brody that did that?
I think that was Shannon.
Shannon, somebody called me. Like I said, it's nice when I got women on both sides of them. I know they're not sitting on both sides of me tonight, but I know I've got my back covered.
We'll look out for you.
In the front and both sides, so I'm good to go. I can't make a mistake without knowing about it. My wife's in the other room, so I got number 4 to keep me straight too. We have any more department heads tonight? Ms. Brody, you got anything?
I don't, Chairman. Thank you.
How was the ballerina? Is it still going on?
It lasted for about 15 minutes, which was plenty long enough to not keep the attention span of a group of 4-year-olds. So I'm glad that's over with.
I'm glad you were able to participate in that ballerina online on WebEx or whatever it was.
Thanks for moving around the agenda items there for me.
All right, great deal. Any citizens tonight you'd like to come in, chat in? Mr. Risley, have you got anybody coming in?
All right, I'm going to temporarily unmute everybody here. Muted. We'll leave it for just a second to see if we have any. Shut it back down. Okay, you're good to go.
All right, we'll go to commissioner comments. Commissioner Robinson, you want to start us off tonight?
Yes, sir. I'm just looking forward to things getting back to normal. I'm be glad to see it.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thanks to Jason in the Public Works Department for getting out on Whitaker Road to resolve some issues that we had, some serious and significant flooding in that neighborhood. Want to encourage them to keep an eye on the other ditches around the county. As again, I pedal, I see a good bit of overgrowth in the areas, and I know that maybe COVID-19 we haven't been able to cut and properly maintain. So let's make sure we do that to take care of our citizens. Also, I would love us to be a testing site between us and the health department, drive-through testing, especially for our employees that have gone back to work amidst all of this. There are some that probably are considered at risk, and I just want to make sure that they're protected from some of us who may carry and don't know that we have it. So I'd love for Jason and human resources to work with the health department to put that on either at the county level, at our facility, or either at the health department. And then, you know, I just want to appreciate everybody's work and diligence in this. It's been tough, and I'm glad that we managed through. I think we're doing a good job of reacting a little better in some places, and I'm thankful that we've had very low numbers across the county. And with that being said, I want everybody to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kitchens, we'll go with you and then end with Commissioner Pitt so he can do his usual. How you like my timing, Commissioner Pitt?
I love it. Love it.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Martin. You know, I think we got a group that is obviously cares about the community, cares about the decisions that we have to make, and none of them are taken lightly. I'll you know, kudos again to Matt and Jamie and James for all the work they put into it. I know personally I've blown Matt's phone up for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I want to, you know, special shout out to all that he's put up with between him and Jason and Ashley. You know, just a concern. So I want to say thank you to them and thank you to everybody out there that's that recognizes it's a tough decision. And I don't know if any of us know what is exactly right. We just know what we believe and know what we need to do. So thank y'all. And I appreciate the commissioners on this type of incident. Praying for everybody, make choices based on your family and your needs. So all of that.
Commissioner Pitt?
All right, Chairman. I do want to thank the board for supporting purchasing 3 new emergency vehicles for our captains and our emergency response team, and Don and his team. I want to also thank Public Works, Jason, Ashley, and the entire board for working with Attaway. From my understanding, we'll be putting some containers in a couple of convenience centers, and hopefully more will be coming soon so we can start recycling plastic again. I'm going to say that's something that we're happy about. I mean, it's been a long time. It's a little disappointed throwing plastic in the trash can, and now knowing that we can start recycling again, it's going to be great. And then just the most important thing, just encourage everybody to be careful, be safe, and take precautions. And with that said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn for the evening.
We have a motion adjourned. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank y'all very much.